We've got Jailhouse Calls with Ruby Franke with her sister, and then also Jailhouse Calls where she seems to just be ranting to her mom and dad. I don't have the dates yet, but shout out to Jessica Daniel for uploading these Jailhouse Calls and other content. Check out their channel, but let's listen to them together.
Did you see that Jodi pled guilty today?
I did see that. Yes, is that a relief for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big relief. It's a big relief. There would have been positive the other way too. Had she not pled guilty, there's enough evidence that she could have been convicted for life. But that would have been messy. It would have been really messy, and the kids would have. So.
So do you and her get the same outcome no matter what now, or is there a chance that it would be different?
That's a really good question. That's one that I've asked.
Oh, I didn't know whose voice was whose. I was like, I couldn't tell which one was Ruby. Ruby's the one on the one in the left ear, I guess, and her voice is a bit deeper. So I guess she's talking to her sister right now. We were wondering who took the plea deal first, who pled guilty first. My understanding, it was her that took the plea deal first, and then Jodi followed suit afterwards. But I wasn't really sure on that.
Lamar, no, we can still have different outcomes. So Ellie asked a little bit about this. I wrote it out in a text to her. But so the next thing that will happen is I will fill out, and she will fill out probation and there's another P, paperwork. And basically you go through your history and you tell them your history, which there's no history on me. There's nothing, no criminal history, no mental health history, nothing. And I'm also hiring a professional to do a mental health evaluation, just to say she's good, like there's no mental health problems at all. And then that will go to my probationary board. Jodi, she can lie on her paperwork, and she probably will.
Uh-oh, is this where we're turning on each other? Apparently, she started turning on Jodi in December, so about September, October, November, 4 months, I guess? September?
I don't think she's going
to. Wait, August, September, October, November, December. So 4 months until she turned on Jodi?
On her paperwork, and she probably will. I don't think she's going to give them her history. But I think in the interview it's going to be apparent that she's mentally ill. And so that will affect how long someone, because they're looking, how repentant are you? How much responsibility are you taking?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm telling y'all. She knows how to play the game. I think she just wants out of this. I don't truly believe that she knew I don't truly believe that she accepts everything that she did was wrong, because she sounded so fucking delusional crazy in those journal diaries. I think she's just trying to manipulate right now. Oh my God. I got manipulated.
How are you aware that what you've done is wrong? And she's not. The only reason she pled is because she didn't want to do life. She knew I would testify. The other thing is, on my plea deal, when I come up for probation, the prosecuting attorney can, will often, if they think that you're a danger to society, will talk to the probationary board and or write them a letter saying, I think she needs to stay where she is.
Yeah, because what they're saying is that the reason why Ruby is not a danger to others, because they don't think Ruby has the power to influence other people to do this, right? I beg to differ. But anyways, they said Jodi was the one who's the dangerous to society because who knows how many other people Jodi got to, you know, leave their significant others, dump their kids with her, and, you know, abuse them. But seeing how delusional she was, how crazy she is in those journal entries, I think it's possible that what if she has grandchildren one day? Right? I don't know. I just, and it's funny how everyone refers to Jodi as a therapist, and I think in the police interview, Jodi referred to herself as a psychiatrist or something. Like, oh, I'm a psychiatrist. I've been on your side before, you guys.
He's going to stay neutral and not write any letter when my probation comes up, which is a really big deal. But for her, he's not going to stay neutral. So we can come up to probation, and I can get off on probation, and she may not.
So what does probation look like? Like, what does that all entail?
It can look like several different things, I think. I'm still learning about this, and I think I never realized how complicated it is. I always thought you pled guilty and they'd tell you how long you're in.
Yeah, there's a lot of terminology to know.
Yeah, and you know, half of the stuff that is said goes over my head, and then I have to go, you know, I come back and I ask the girls here, I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Yeah. But probation could look like going home. Like,
yeah, no, don't give her probation. If she gets probation, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
You could go home. Sometimes, you know, it might look like going home with restrictions, like you can go home, but you need to live with somebody who's responsible, and you can't be around certain people. Like, they may say you could go home if your parents agree to house you, but you can't go home to where your kids are living. It could look like something like that. Or it could look like something where I have an ankle monitor. Or it could look like you can go home if you pay a $10,000 fine. Or maybe it could look like instead of serving the rest of your time, we'll give you some good time and you can go home in half the time. Or so I think that probation, getting off on probation, I think looks...
Bye, Stevie. Have a good meeting. Have fun.
Like, there's several different ways that could happen.
Oh.
She's already fantasizing about getting out, getting promotion, serving half the time, blah, 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 blah.
I see.
Oh, here's one of Jodi's clients, because we were talking about corn earlier. There was a client of Jodi's that told 2020, Jodi heavily focused on the issue of pornography addiction in their relationships, sometimes even the expense of ignoring other issues that the couple was facing. Stephanie Jones, who along with her ex-husband sought Hildebrandt's therapy services from 2018-2019, said Hildebrandt used the term addict to describe all porn usage. Quotation marks. With Jodi, you look at it one time and you're an addict. That's why I was saying that, like, I don't know if he really was an addict or if Jodi was just like exacerbating it. Because it seems like she has other clients that said the same thing in interviews.
Yeah.
And is that usually after you've already served some time then?
Say that one more time.
That's after you have served some time?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what that is going to be. I don't know if it's... One of the girls said that it would be for me 6 months, but I've also heard it could be 4 years, and some people serve several years before they ever see their probation board. So I'm really still, I mean, I could be in there 4 years, I could be in there 30. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah. And that will come in February?
On February 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, one in chat if you can hear me. One in chat if you can hear me.
And the news that I saw today, Jodi's sentence hearing is also February 20th. So I'm going to make a...
Okay, I wasn't sure because Nicole was like, did y'all lose Corky? I was like, uh-oh, do we have internet issues? Okay, I see some ones in the chat. Okay, 2 in chat if you can't hear me. It appears that 2 weeks after the first police interview, Kevin went to go speak with the police a second time. This time, Kevin no longer defends his wife and describes in more detail. He says sessions with Hildebrandt were like after he and Ruby were separated. Every week was just hell, psychological hell, and Jodi was running in. So I am really curious to know when these phone calls took place between Kevin and Ruby. Maybe initially he was on her side, and maybe at some point he woke the fuck up and realized that she's also the devil. Or, you know, maybe it's all a ruse. Maybe he's pretending. I don't know.
The request that we be transferred in 2 different vans. I don't think they're going to accommodate that.
Oh, do they? Okay, I see.
Yeah, when I went to the courthouse last week, what they do, they did this when they transported me to Utah County as well. They pull all the girls. There's only 2 housing here for girls. There's not very many girls here, but there's many for the men. And so they take the girls and they put them in a cell together, in a holding cell to wait, and then they get all the men together and they put all the men in the cells, and then they start putting on the ankle bracelets and the chains and the everything on the men while you're sitting in the cell with these women you're going to the court with.
He was on her side at first. One of the calls he tells her he'll do whatever he can to help her, that he won't leave her, he'll hold down for the fort type of thing. Yeah, that's the part that we listened to. But I was like, I don't have the dates for these calls. I'm trying to get the files right now, but I still can't get the files. Okay, the internet's not having it today. I don't know, not having it today. But I was just hoping that those phone calls weren't, or that phone call in particular, wasn't made like months after when he realized what the children went through. It seems that in January 2024, he filed a restraining order to block the sale of Jodi Hildebrandt's house. Maybe that's why her house is not sold yet. In the filing, he's asking for restitution to pay for the ongoing psychological care for the children. And I hope that goes to the children directly. I hope, sometimes when the money goes to the parents have to dole it out, and then they don't really do what they're supposed to with the money. Both Ruby Franke, Jodi Hildebrandt pled guilty. Okay.
For an hour, you're sitting with them. And then they pull the girls out and they line you up, and then they put the shackles on you, and then they take the men out to the men's van, and then they take the women out to the women's van. And then you drive to the courthouse together. And then they take you out.
How far away is your place from the courthouse there in St. George?
30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Okay.
And then you sit in a cell at the court. So if someone's hearing's at 9, this is what happened to me. There was a girl that went with me, and her hearing was at 9, but mine wasn't until 11. So she went in, and she had like a 5-minute hearing. And then we sat in the cell and talked for 2 hours until it was my turn. And then we rode back together. So you pretty much spend several hours together, whoever's going to the court that day with you.
Interesting. So that means on February 20th, it would be you and her going together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was...
I think what I have to do is download the files separately. I'll try that, because instead of downloading all the files at once, I probably just have to download the audio separately, the photos separately, blah, blah, blah. And just be aware, when you're downloading the files, everything's in there. So there might be some things you don't like seeing.
The last time you talked to her, was it that day?
It was when we were arrested.
Okay.
Yeah. I left early in the morning to go to a dentist appointment with Julie. We left at like 3 in the morning. And she called me sometime in the morning. And so I went back down. But when I got to the house, I mean, it looked like the movies. There was a red fire truck. There was a black van with tinted windows. There were 2 ambulances. There were 20 cop cars. I mean, it was
Did you just sit in your car?
No, I
Got out?
I pulled up and found a spot to park. She lives on a cul-de-sac. I parked in the cul-de-sac, and I walked up, and the driveway was just full of cops, and I just walked up to the cops. And they
Oh, I wanted his body cam footage the moment that she walked up to one of the law enforcement people.
said, "Are you the mother?" And I nodded my head, and so they took me and put me in the casita, and I sat there for a couple hours. I just sat there, and then they were finishing looking through the house and stuff, I think, and some of the guys were coming in and out with pizza, and so I think
Yeah, they gave pizza to one of the daughters, the youngest daughter, though, still hiding in the closet.
Eve was still there because the ambulance car was there. I was eating pizza with the police, and then once the kids were taken in the ambulance cars, then the detective came and patted me down and arrested me, and then took me to the courthouse for questioning, which I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't say anything because Lamar was really helpful.
Who's Lamar? Wait a second. Hold on. In this article, it says Detective Jessica Bate of the Santa Clara Ivans Police Department said one of the final straws for the Franke marriage came when Hildebrandt moved into the couple's home after she had a crisis in her own home. Kevin was initially hesitant, but he says in his interview with the police that he was persuaded by Ruby to help Hildebrandt out. So Jodi moved in with the family at some point and then booted Kevin out. Oh, her lawyer's name is Lamar. His name is Lamar? Really? I don't remember that. Like, I would remember that. I don't know, man. Something up with Ruby and with Jodi.
Like, if you ever get arrested, don't say anything. I just didn't say anything. And she
How
was like,
did you find Lamar? Was he just assigned to you coincidentally, or did you?
So she has an attorney that she's used for connections, and I called him and no one answered, but then she called him and he said, I only do like business law, I don't do criminal law, but here's a number of two people who do.
Okay, so remember we were wondering that with the different lawyers. I was like, it's possible that the lawyer is like, oh, I just don't practice like defense attorney shit. Okay.
That I would highly recommend. And so she gave the two numbers, and I got the number from Kevin. I don't know how the numbers got from. I don't know how, but Kevin said, here's your attorney and this is her attorney. And so, and that was.
Wait, so did Kevin get the attorney from Jodi? And then he passed that information along to Ruby?
The last time I talked to Kevin was a couple of days after my arrest, but so I didn't see Jodi at all when I went to the house to turn myself in. I didn't see her.
Okay.
And I went, and they took me to the courthouse, and the detective was like, I've got all night, we can talk all night, and I didn't say anything. I just said I want an attorney.
Wait, hold on, I'm like reading this article. Bate told ABC News that Kevin Franke said this moment led to a shift in his marriage. Jodi really integrated herself, and she would go on their anniversary dinners. She would just be there. As is all happening behind the scenes, the three were appearing in videos on social media accounts for Connections, the life coaching business that Hildebrandt founded. In one series of videos, the live couples workshop, Kevin and Franke are seen discussing topics like marriage and sex together, sometimes alongside Hildebrandt or other couples. But by 2022, Ruby and Jodi appear together in numerous videos, and Kevin is notably absent. I thought Kevin made it seem like he didn't really hang out with Jodi, but it seems like she was living at their house. She was going on their anniversary anniversary dinners. I mean, how often are you celebrating your anniversary? They were all three in videos with Connections. Kevin made it seem like he was like, he barely even knew Jodi. Remember in Randy Kessler, Kevin's attorney, did an interview about this. Oh my God, we should go back by it. But by 2022, Ruby and Jodi appeared together in numerous videos. Kevin is notably absent. His disappearance of the connections content overlaps the timeline when he moved out of the Franke home in July of that year, although he was still a therapy patient of Hildebrandt's at the time. 2 weeks after the first police interview, Kevin went to speak with police the second time. Okay, I read this part already. Kinda weird. So Jodi inserts herself into marriages and then finds a way to boot the husband out. That way she's alone with just her and the wife, and then she has control of the wife, the kids. Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet, Janae. I don't know if the files are not really downloading on my end. I just have to wait till someone posts it on YouTube. Okay.
So I could hear Kevin in the hallway talking, and then he left. And when they took me out of the room, they took me outside and cuffed me and said, again, they cuffed me again, and then they told me you're under arrest and then they told me two of the charges, and then they had me get in the patrol car, and that's when I saw Jodi. I saw Jodi was also in the patrol car, and she had surgery on her shoulder. She couldn't put her hands behind her back, so then they pulled her out and changed up the way they arrested her so she could drive with her hands in front of her. And then we had about a 45-minute drive to the jail. And that was the last time I spoke to her. We were in the back, and we didn't say a whole lot. I mean, we talked the whole time, but I don't remember really saying a whole lot. We hummed a couple hymns, and she was still justifying the whole time. She's like, don't worry, we'll have our day in court. And then when we were booked in, they put us in separate cells, and we've been in separate cells ever since. So.
Okay. Do you hate talking about that kind of stuff? Does it trigger anything, or is it just?
Which sister is she talking to? Do you guys recognize her voice?
No, I don't. I think it's fun. No, I don't mind talking about it. It's maybe good for me to talk about it. I don't know if you like talking about it.
I was just wondering if it triggered anything. But if you're doing okay mentally, and then that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I think putting the pieces together and just seeing, like, she knew she was lying the whole time. Like, and it's embarrassing too to like repeat it. It's like, oh my gosh, how gullible was I? Oh my gosh, how much power I gave this person.
I don't buy it. She's just trying to shift the blame.
And I didn't see it. But when I realized, so she had, her attorney's name is Doug Terry, and mine's Lamar. And Lamar, you know, maybe a month into it, maybe not even that long, he's like, Jodi denies everything. She denies having anything to do with this. And I was shocked. I was like, what? And I'm still telling Lamar, like, you know, all of the...
Oh, so maybe Jodi denied everything because she didn't know there was a journal entry, or there was a journal diary that was kept. Maybe Jodi was the one who denied everything. She got pissed. She turned on Jodi, took the plea deal. I wonder if that's the timeline event. Sorry, let me go back a little bit.
But when I realized, so she had, her attorney's name is Doug Terry, and mine's Lamar. And Lamar, you know, maybe a month into it, maybe not even that long, he's like, Jodi denies everything. She denies having anything to do with this, and I was shocked. I was like, what? And I'm still telling Lamar, like, you know, all of the justifications and all of the, you know, I'm talking like a criminal. I sound like a mad person. He was so patient with me. He was so patient with me. He would just look at me and, like, kind of dumbfounded, like I'd said 2 + 2 is 7, and I really believed it, and he would just stare at me. I'm like, what am I saying that's so off? And, but that's because I really believed it. But then when I heard that Jodi was not talking like that, she was denying the whole thing, it told me she knew all along. It's like a little kid who doesn't know it's wrong to pee in their underwear. Like, they don't know. They're not embarrassed by it. It's like, oh, I was supposed to pee in the toilet? Oh, oops. But you get a 6-year-old. You know, you get a 6-year-old who knows they're supposed to pee in the toilet and they're peeing down the heater vent. They're going to try to hide it. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized she knew all along, and she's hiding it. And then I was like, crap, what am I son?
I don't know. I think she's trying to just get this on she probably knows these calls are recorded. She knows people are going to listen to this at some point. I think she's just trying to go away with her hands clean, like saying, like, oh, I didn't know any of this. I think the moment that Jodi was like, oh, I didn't do this, she's like, wait, what? Wait, holy fuck. Like, now I'm fucked. She probably thought that Jodi was going to go down with her. That's why she turned on Jodi.
And that's when things kind of started turning. I was like, she's not been honest. I didn't know she wasn't honest. I didn't know she would lie. And it's like, what else has she been lying about? Where else have I been deceived?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was that?
Oh, no, I was just, agreeing.
Yeah.
You did see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just like the little string that started pulling apart the fabric.
Yeah, I feel like Ruby found her yes man, okay? She fucking found the yes man that would co-sign all the abuse that she was going to endure on the fucking children, all right? And she was living in it. She was journaling it. She was reveling in it, okay? Fuck her.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Now she's like, okay, well, I need to make sure this looks good on me. So on the Jailhouse Calls, I'm going to make sure it sounds good because these people on YouTube, these people on the news, they're going to fucking play all this shit. I got to make sure I make it look like that I didn't know what the fuck was going on, that I was being deceived the entire time. She's trying to manipulate right now.
What have I done? Like what? I can talk about it now. Yeah, go ahead.
Because during the sentencing, I was like, oh, I hope that she has changed. It's for the best of her kids. Maybe she did. I don't know. She sounded way more sorry than she did than Jodi did, right? Jodi's like, she gave like one-liner. I didn't really like her sentencing speech at all, but she gave us a lot more than what Jodi did. But I don't know. Now I'm just like, oh God, this is just manipulation.
Lamar was just very, very kind that day that we met with him. It was very time and just visit with us.
Oh, like miraculous.
Yeah. He and his wife.
Mhm. Yeah, he had a way of like he didn't beat around the bush. Like,
exactly. She knew her and Jodi would have gone to prison. She knew the entire time. Yeah, when she woke up at 2:45 and R had escaped, she said in her journal if she hadn't found him, her and Jay would have gone to prison. She knew the whole time. Mm-hmm.
There were some times he would say things that were shocking to me. Like he would like repeat what I said, but he would say it in a different tone so I could hear myself. And he's like, "Is that really what you think?" And I'm like, "Oh." And he would, but then there were other times that...
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Do you want to end the call, or do you want me to call you back? How do you want to...
We can end for today, and then we can always talk again. So,
yeah.
I'm just really glad that he's there to kind of help you through it, and...
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that first night I was in the jail, I just felt really strongly like, I'm sending you help. Help is coming.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was Lamar, and he's been very, very helpful. I'm grateful for him.
Well, that's what we've all been praying for this whole time. So I'm glad that even it's a different kind of help, but I'm glad it's finally here.
Me too. I'll take it. Like, I hate this, but I'm taking it.
Of course. Yeah.
If there's a link to any of the other audio recordings, let me know. I just wanted to read this article right here. Franke and Hildebrandt calls from jail. In jail recordings released Friday, Franke Hildebrandt justified the abuse of Franke's two youngest children. Franke called the prosecution a witch hunt, while Hildebrandt was emotional in one of her jailhouse calls. Hildebrandt was speaking to an unknown woman whom Hildebrandt says she had known for years. Hildebrandt told the woman the spirit had told her the devil had influenced the children. Nobody wants the truth, she said tearfully. Now it's abusive to make a kid sleep on the floor. It's abusive, you know, it's ridiculous. You can't even raise your kids anymore. So that we listened to. In a call made the day after her arrest, Franke spoke to a man who was not identified by name but could have been her estranged husband, Kevin Franke. The man told Ruby Franke her children are in foster care and he plans to fight to get them back. So this is the day after the arrest. Ruby Franke said, adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what it takes to fight it. You've seen what it takes to fight evil. It's not the person you're fighting and can look like something it's not. And you've been there. You know that. In a call on September 1, Franke is heard expressing concern for Hildebrandt and distress in the feeling that they were both misunderstood. In quotations, that is the most horrible feeling, like my own family misunderstand me. They misinterpreted me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jodi, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her. She puts her neck out on the line for people and then they get mad at her. I mean, it's just horrendous. During a recorded call in October, Hildebrandt is heard saying, I shouldn't be here. I haven't done anything wrong. That's the phone call that I want to listen to. I have not heard it yet and I can't download it. She went on to say, when I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children because that's what's happening, is that kids are being absolutely horribly abused. Oh boy. By early December, audio recordings of jail phone call reveal Franke started to turn on Hildebrandt. She says, I think just being gone and not hearing her has cleared up a lot of things for me. I don't think that's true. I think that she realizes Jodi was not taking responsibility. She was denying things, and that's why Ruby Franke changed her mind, okay? Then during a call towards the end of the month, Franke discusses the fact that Hildebrandt pleaded guilty and calls Hildebrandt mentally ill. Franke says, the only reason why she pled is because she didn't want to do life. She knew I would testify. Okay, so the call that we just listened to just now was at the end of December. So something must have happened beginning of December or end of November, something like that. And it went to the grapevine and went back to Ruby that, hey, you know, Jodi Hildebrandt, she's denying everything. Oof. Yeah, I don't believe her bullshit. Franke discussed the possibility that she could be released within a few months or years. Oh yeah, we already listened to this part right here. Okay. Oh my God, that makes sense. Because I was like, you know, maybe she did have her mind cleared up because she wasn't near Jodi Hildebrandt for the past couple months. No, that's not, I don't buy that. It's because she realized Jodi denied everything.
Hello?
That's her dad, I guess?
Thank you for using Telmate.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, that was...
Over there.
It's 9:30. We're good.
Okay. At night?
Yeah, yeah. We're 8 hours ahead.
Okay.
I'm glad you could call us back.
Yeah. I haven't used the phones very much. They're kind of hard to figure out, but yeah, I think I figured out how to use. I don't think this one will shut me off. I think the one I called you was a free call, and this one will be paid for by my account. Kevin, Bo put some money in it.
Bo's one of her brothers, or I don't know if she has other brothers, but I know Bo is like a brother, and he wrote a letter to the judge on her behalf. Same thing with the parents.
But I was saying
say everything that I want to say, but I really did feel like the arrest was like a rescue. Like I just felt so many angels around, and it was like a relief. It was just really kind of surreal, kind of strange.
So she said it feels like a rescue. There were so many angels around. I think she's referring to herself that she was rescued, not about the children.
But I just keep thinking about, President Nelson's talk, think celestial. And I know he said in the past about myopic thinking, and he's given a lot of context to, how small this life really is, and I'm just so grateful. How many people, will go to the grave not having woken up, and I want to use this time.
Thank you for calling Purgatory. We're happy to assist you with all your purgatorial communications.
And I am using this time to change, to repent, and to do what I can to let the Lord know I love him and my family. And I've had many experiences here to kind of guide my thinking. It's like, I don't know, my attorney's been really good. Did you know my attorney is